Hi, I'm Frank Reese. This is Acapella Books. Welcome. Happy Independent Bookstore Day. Behind the camera is Onyu Kim. We're thrilled to have her back after a hiatus. She, along with most of our staff, took a little time off to quarantine at home at the beginning of the pandemic when we had to shut down our store to the public, and it remains shut down to the public. I'm going to talk a little louder than I normally do, both because my mask and in the spirit of the Republican National Convention. I'll try not to yell. If you want to come on in, we'll close out the traffic sounds, and I'll tell you a little bit about Acapella Books. We've been here in Atlanta for almost 31 years. We opened in 1989. This is our fourth location, all in the Little Five Points, Inman Park part of Atlanta. We bought this building about 2 years ago, and we're happy to call it home, hopefully forevermore. Although things were going really great after we bought the building, had a great year last year, and of course the first couple of months of this year we're off to a good start until everything changed. But we have been very fortunate during the shutdown that our customers have been wonderful, supporting us through our online sales. All we're doing now is allowing browsing, shopping online, and email, and phone calls, and texts. And we're doing curbside delivery, and we're doing shipping all over the country, and also in-town delivery. We deliver to about 15 or 20 in-town Atlanta zip codes for free. So we've had to make a few changes in our store. We've always talked about one of the reasons we've been able to survive for 30 years or more has been because we've stayed small, and I think that's still true. And that may be one of the reasons it was easier for us to transition in the pandemic, because it was just easier with fewer people, fewer moving parts to adapt to what we had to do. That being said, that's one of the reasons we can't let people back in, because we really don't have enough space for browsing, and I don't know that we're going to be able to do that in any significant way until after this pandemic is really behind us. So one of the first things we had to do when we went to an online-only bookstore is recognize that the store didn't need to be as pretty as we normally tried to keep it, and the books didn't have to be quite as visible and as accessible. So we started consolidating sections, making more room for our books, and being less concerned with making them visible to customers who weren't coming in. So what we've done is gotten rid of almost all of the face-out displays that normally would be showing in our fiction section, and have just crammed our fiction section into these two bookcases, and then we'll come around to the other side. Again, because customers don't have to have easy access to the books, we've taken advantage of our high ceilings, and a lot of our backstock is way up high there. So we still have plenty of books, even though we've jammed them into just about half of our 500 square foot main store. So we'll come around here, and you'll see the rest of the fiction section. Onyu's going to give you a view of that. And then we're going to come into this corner where the nonfiction begins, and starting with literary nonfiction, essay, memoir, that sort of thing, and on into poetry and anthologies, and then we get into history. We always do a lot with local Atlanta history. Of course, we are proud to claim the great late John Lewis, as he was our representative to Congress and became a good friend to the store. We always carry his books, including his memoir, Walking with the Wind, and also his books of Across That Bridge, which is a vision for change in the future of America, thoughts that he learned and were important to him throughout his life. So Atlanta and local history moves on to more African American history, which of course in this moment has been a very popular subject. Sold a lot of copies of Stamped from the Beginning and How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi, and a lot of other important African American works. And then general world history is below that. And then we move on here to American history. I've just embarked on reading Rick Perlstein's latest in his 4-part volume on the rightward turn of our country, Reagan-Land, America's Right Turn, 1976 to 1980. I haven't finished it. It's got a long way to go, but it's good like the previous volumes. After American history, we have religion and economics. Move on to politics, which has always been a big part of what we focus on here, and then move from there on to social sciences, and then into another one of our favorite areas, music. We've always sold a lot of books related to music, hence our name, Acapella. A couple of things that we've recently had a lot of success with, Kathy Valentine of the Go-Go's. This was her memoir, All I Ever Wanted, and the publisher was able to arrange for us to get signed copies, which have been very popular among our customers. We have a lot of great music fans among our customers. Another book that's been very popular of local interest, Cool Town, How Athens, Georgia launched alternative music and changed American culture. I was a student at University of Georgia in Athens during those days of B-52s and REM. So this has been a very popular book here and of great interest. And we did an event with Grace Hale. We have signed copies of this one as well. And after music, we have more sections on psychology, science, nature, and then we move into cookbooks and then art and film and graphic novels. And again, one of the popular graphic novels right now are again John Lewis's March, books 1, 2, and 3. We've been, they've always been very popular, and in recent days, even more so. So that's a brief little tour of our tiny new bookshop, squeezed into about half of its normal space. In just a second, we'll show you the other half of our main bookshop. All right, so that we've seen our new book half of the store. Acapella Books actually started as a used bookstore, and we still do a lot with used books. And during the time that we've been online only since March, our used books have sort of become a more important part of what we're doing for several reasons. One being that it's easier for us to input our used books remotely. So we've got one bookseller working from home, putting used books in from there into our system. Early in the morning, we have another bookseller putting books in, and all of those books are on our website, acapellabooks.com. And out-of-print books and used books have a lot of virtues. One being just ordinary used books are less expensive. Out-of-print books, it allows you to have a much broader variety and a unique selection as opposed to other bookstores. And then the genuinely collectible and rare books, of course, are appealing to people who are, like us, obsessed with books. So what we've turned this half of the store into, you'll see these are all books that have come in that we have not yet gotten out of the boxes and into our system, but they're coming, and we'll all be available on acapellabooks.com as soon as we get them in there. And the way we operate our used books online is, again, since customers can't come into the store, we don't necessarily organize them like you'd expect them to be organized. We strictly organize them by when we put them in our system. So it's all chronological. So the other side of this case goes back to the beginning of the pandemic when we started putting books in, and then it continues on here chronologically through June and July, and they've taken over our front counter the rest of July and into August. And meanwhile, you see all the boxes that pile up around us because we're just sort of more of a book warehouse these days. And the new arrivals of these used books and out-of-print books continue over here, books that we've entered through August and into now. And one thing that happens with used books is they just keep on coming and take up more and more space. So one of our projects has been figuring out how much we can squeeze our new books into a smaller space so that we can accommodate the ever-growing number of used books. So we've been consolidating, and we're ready for a few more weeks of used books to come in on these empty shelves soon, and then we have to figure out what to do after that, but hadn't quite gotten there yet. But so again, then what used to be before all of this happened, where I'm standing is where our used book section used to begin, and this whole wall was used fiction. And then we would, that was all we had in the main store of used books. Everything else in the main store was new books. And then you would come into this other room here, which was exclusively other than fiction, our used bookstore. And it still is almost nothing but used books. This is also where a lot of the rare and out of print and collectible books are. And so we have this whole wall of art books and again, a lot of used and out of print books on music and film, politics, all the same subjects, but older books, out of print books, we think more unusual books. And you'll see too, this room is becoming more and more like a storage unit, as well as we continue to bring in more stuff and are not as mindful as we normally are of making it a wonderful shopping experience at Acapella Books, at least in a literal sense, but it continues to be one we hope on our website, acapellabooks.com. So in just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by a couple of good friends and local Atlanta authors who are also husband and wife. Jessica Handler and Mickey Dubrow. You're going to meet them, learn about their books, and they're also going to share some of their favorite books of recent months. All right, so we're back up to the front of the store where what you're looking at here is our hold shelf. All bookstores have hold shelves, but I will say during the months of March, April, May, June, July, now into August, our hold shelf has grown bigger and bigger. These are books that people have ordered and that they're going to come pick up outside of our store, curbside pickup. So it's just been amazing to see the volume of sales that we've been able to maintain operating as we are. In addition to curbside pickup, as I mentioned, we do offer shipping all over the country and locally. And we do, within our neighborhood, within about 15 to 20 zip codes, we do free deliveries. So we are very grateful for all the support we've gotten from our new customers, old customers, and we've been thinking about the meaning of Independent Bookstore Day. And I know it's always a day to kind of crow and celebrate how great independent bookstores are. And of course, we're proud to be among them. But I really think this year especially, we should be celebrating not independent bookstores, but the customers who support independent bookstores. And we just have the greatest customers, and we're just so happy about the support we continue to get from them. We have a club here at Acapella that we call the Acapella Choir, and that is our VIP membership club. Folks who are members of the Acapella Choir get the best benefits that we can come up with. It's a prepayment club, so if you join, you pay for your books up front, and there are 3 different levels. You at $100, you put $100 into an Acapella Choir account, and it immediately becomes $110. So in other words, a 10% bonus for being a member of the choir. At $500, that bonus goes to 20%, and so $500 equals $600 in Acapella books. And the highest level is the $1,000 level. At $1,000, we give you $1,300 of credit for books here in the store to use over whatever period of time you would like. And so we think of that as our way of saying to our best customers that we value you, and this is our way to show it by giving you the best value. And other benefits that come from being in the choir when we're back to operating normally, we do a lot of author events, and members of the a cappella choir always get priority seating. And we from time to time have meet and greets with the authors in very private settings, and a cappella choir members are always invited to those. And for Independent Bookstore Day, we thought we would do something a little bit extra. So if you join the choir anytime between now and the end of the weekend, we're going to add on top of the extra bonus of either 10%, 20%, or 30%, depending on the level that you join, we're going to give you free books. At $100, we're going to throw in an extra book with your membership. At $500, we throw in 2 extra books. And at $1,000, we throw in 3 extra books. In addition to that, there's more. There's, of course, swag. At the $100 level, you get your choice of an a cappella books mug with the saying on the back that Patty Smith was gracious enough to let us use. There is nothing in the material world more beautiful than the book. That's a quote from her acceptance speech for the National Book Award for Just Kids. So at $100, in addition to your bonus 10%, I'll tell you about the free book in a minute, you also get your choice of either an a cappella books mug or an a cappella books tote bag with the logo and the Patty Smith quote on the back. At $500, you get that choice as well, plus you get an a cappella books t-shirt. And we have these in black, pink, and gray, large, medium, small, and I think extra large as well, and even double XL. At $1,000, we give you all 3, a shirt, tote bag, and the mug, and free books. So the free books we're offering all have some special meaning to us. And again, you get your choice of any one of these if you join at $100. You get your choice of any 2 of these at $500, and your choice of any 3 of these at $1,000. So the first one is Deacon King Kong, the latest novel by James McBride. This was a selection in March of our signed first editions club. So these are signed first editions, signed on the title page. We were also fortunate enough to do a virtual event just last week with James McBride, a wonderful book. This is one of your choices. Another selection from our signed first editions club is a memoir by former poet laureate and Pulitzer Prize winning poet Natasha Trethewey, former Atlantan. She was raised in Atlanta. This is her memoir, a very moving but very dark memoir involving her mother who was murdered and her memories of that. It's a beautiful but painful book, but I highly recommend it, and this would be one of your choices as well. As I mentioned, music has always been a big part of what a cappella books is all about. We did a virtual event not long ago with founding member of the Talking Heads and Tom Tom Club, Chris France. This is his memoir. We still have signed copies of it. This would be one of your choices. And another music book, very different part of the music world, the post-punk band Bad Religion. This book just came out last month. It's been very popular all over the world. We've been shipping copies to Europe, to Australia, to Canada, all over the States. Do you want it signed by the author as well as 5 members who've been part of the band, Bad Religion. That would be another one of your selections. Then getting into fiction, some of your choices would include Kylie Reed's popular book. She was scheduled back in March to appear at one of our events. Unfortunately, it was one of the first ones we had to cancel because of coronavirus. But we did get to do a virtual event with her, and we do have copies of the book with signed book plates that she provided, and so that would be one of your choices as well. Also in fiction, one of my favorite books of the year so far came out early this year. Again, Jenny Awful's Weather was scheduled. We were scheduled to have an event with her. It got canceled. She was nice enough to provide us with signed book plates nonetheless. So that would be another choice that you would have. And another one, a fantastic novel, Lily King. Same story with us. We were supposed to host her back in the spring, got canceled. She sent us book plates. This probably is my favorite novel of the year, Writers and Lovers. If you like books about the creative spirit and what creative people endure to create what they do, I think it's never been done any better than this. It's a really wonderful book, Writers and Lovers by Lily King. And two more. Stephanie Danler, this is probably one of my wife's favorite books of the year, the memoir of the author of Sweet Bitter that came out a few years ago. This is, in my wife's telling, I haven't read it, I'll be honest, but she says it's even better than Sweet Bitter, which was a great book. Stephanie Danler signed these. She did a virtual event with us in conjunction with the Atlanta History Center sometime back. That would be another one of your choices. And last, and certainly not least, the latest book from Stacey Abrams, who did a hugely popular virtual event with us and the Atlanta History Center. Our Time Is Now, and Stacey signed these. There's her distinctive signature. And this would be a choice. And I said last but not least, but I'm remembering one more. Early in this crazy time, I had the distinct honor of doing an interview with John Grisham, whose latest book, Camino Winds, actually takes place in a bookstore. So we had a lot to talk about the world of books and fiction, and these are signed first editions that we got for that, signed by John Grisham. So that would be another one of your choices if you join the a cappella choir between now and the end of this independent bookstore weekend. So again, your choices: John Grisham, Stacey Abrams, Stephanie Danler, Lily King, Jenny Awful, Kylie Reed, Bad Religion, Chris France, Natasha Trethewey, and James McBride. Truly something for everybody. So please join the a cappella choir. It's the best way you can help us, and we think it's the best way we can help you be part of what we do here at A Cappella Books.
Ready, go.
As promised, we're now joined by our good friends, Atlanta authors Mickey Dubrow and Jessica Handler, who not only have been great, loyal customers and friends for A Cappella for almost all of our 31 years. They're also two of Atlanta's best novelists. And I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves and their latest books, and a few books that they've enjoyed reading during the pandemic that they think you might enjoy as well. Take it away.
Hi,
I'm Mickey Dubrow, and this is...
Jessica Handler.
I am the author of American Judas. It's a political thriller about what America's like after it becomes a Christian theocracy. And I'm currently working on a book about a bulletproof woman that is sort of a satire of gun culture. But during the pandemic, I've had plenty of time to read, and two books that I've been doing is one, Killer Come Back to Me, Ray Bradbury. I love the hard case crime stories. I've just been a treasure trove of old stories that should be read again, and Ray Bradbury, you can't go wrong with anything he does. And the other one that I've really been enjoying is Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby. This is a modern crime story, but the main character is a black man who is very typical of the economic problems that a man in South Carolina deals with. And it's just an exciting, wonderful book.
Hi, I'm Jessica Handler, and I'm here with Mickey. And this is my novel, The Magnetic Girl, winner of the 2020 Southern Book Prize, that comes out in paperback on September 8th. This is the Reading Club edition. So this is The Magnetic Girl, which is a story about Lulu Hurst, who was a real person in North Georgia in the 1880s, who performed on the vaudeville stage for 2 years as the Magnetic Girl, conducting electricity in her fingers, which she didn't really do. There's a couple of books that I have been reading and looking forward to. The first one is George Singleton's collection, You Want More, coming out from Hub City Press. And here it is. So that's going to be on my TBR shelf later today. Emma Donoghue is an author whose work I admire greatly. And I'm looking forward to reading this one, The Pull of the Stars. And lastly, Natasha Trethewey, her memoir, Memorial Drive, which is about her reckoning with the murder of her mother, is a beautiful, beautiful book. And I'm also a memoirist and a fan of writing well about what troubles us. And this book is really important. So thank you. These are books that I recommend. And yay, independent bookstores.
Yes.
All right, thanks again for joining us for this installment on the LA Review of Books Bookstore Crawl for Independent Bookstore Day. I'm going to bring Mickey Dubrow back one more time because I don't think he said quite enough about his dystopian novel, American Judas. So here's Mickey again.
Well, American Judas is about how America would be, or maybe is already very close to, being a Christian theocracy. It's like we always talk about this is what we want, or evangelicals talk about this is what they want. And my book was an answer to say, are you sure? Because this is what it would really look like. It has a lot of humor because it is sort of an absurd idea, and it really kind of resonates right now considering what the Republican Party is trying to do to America. It's kind of like this, and maybe we should read it now before it's too late.